The Great War was over. November 1918. The guns on the Western Front had finally fallen silent, but their echo resonated in a profound collective grief that enveloped Great Britain. Hundreds of thousands of her sons lay buried in the ravaged soil of France and Belgium. Fathers, brothers, sons, an entire generation decimated. And on the throne, King George V felt this loss not merely as a sovereign, but as a man, as a father to his people. The official histories, the grand narratives of state mourning, would later record the king's solemn public pilgrimage to these war graves in 1922, a necessary dignified act of national remembrance. But history, like an old house, has its hidden rooms, its whispered secrets. And in the raw, immediate aftermath of the war, in the bleak winter of early 1919, a story unfolded that was deliberately shielded from the public gaze, a testament to a monarch's private, uncontainable sorrow. King George V, a man known for his adherence to duty, his stoic public demeanor, made a decision that flew in the face of courtly advice and governmental caution. He resolved to visit the British war graves in France, not as a king-emperor attended by pomp and circumstance, but as a private mourner, almost as one of the bereaved himself. To achieve this, he adopted an incognito, Lord Lancaster, a name used before for discreet diplomatic missions, a phantom identity designed to allow him to move without the suffocating presence of officialdom. This Lord Lancaster appears fleetingly, like a ghost, in the margins of private correspondence, in half-whispered allusions by courtiers. One such hint, from a private letter attributed to Captain John Fitzroy, a royal aide-de-camp dated March 1919, suggests His Majesty wished to walk among the fallen as one of them, not as the symbol of an empire. The journey itself, if the veiled accounts are to be believed, was stripped of all royal trappings. No grand processions, no honor guards. The king, as Lord Lancaster, reportedly traveled on a small hospital train, accompanied by just 3 trusted officers and a single chaplain. He walked the still devastated fields of Ypres, the Somme, Arras, landscapes of unimaginable ruin, now vast makeshift cemeteries. Eyewitness accounts, some rumored to have been later suppressed or removed from public access, paint a picture of a monarch utterly overwhelmed. The sheer scale of the destruction, the crude, hastily dug graves, the endless rows of simple wooden crosses. Near Passchendaele, a name synonymous with the most horrific slaughter, where over 500 men of the Manchester Regiment lay in a particularly desolate plot, Lord Lancaster is said to have stood in silent contemplation for many minutes. He laid a wreath of wild poppies, the story goes, with a simple, heart-wrenching inscription, "From the father of the empire to his sons." Why was such a profound personal act of mourning deliberately obscured, almost erased from the official narrative? The British court, then as now, meticulously curated the king's image. Regal, detached, a symbol of unwavering imperial strength. A monarch undertaking a secret, almost furtive journey into a recent war zone, driven by personal grief rather than state policy, did not fit this carefully constructed persona. Furthermore, the political climate was fragile. Revolutions had toppled thrones in Russia and Germany. Republican sentiment, though a minority, simmered in Britain. News that the king had left the country incognito, without the formal sanction or protection of his government and army, could have been misconstrued as weakness, irresponsibility, even an abdication of his immediate duties. The risk was deemed too great. And so, the official, highly publicized pilgrimage of 1922 became the accepted historical record, the king performing his role as chief mourner for the cameras, for the nation, for posterity. The king's own personal diaries for February and March of 1919 are said to contain a curious gap, several pages reportedly missing or replaced. Coincidence? Or a deliberate excision ordered by a discreet royal secretary to protect the king and the crown from the potential fallout of his clandestine journey? Yet a fragment, a whisper of this hidden pilgrimage, is rumored to survive. A deeply personal letter, purportedly written by George VR to his wife, Queen Mary, from the fields of the Somme. Never officially published, but a copy supposedly preserved in the private archive of a close family friend. My heart has remained here, amongst the white crosses and the names written on wooden boards. For the first time, I have felt not only the burden of the crown, but the pain of fatherhood over a dying empire. This secret journey of Lord Lancaster, if true, is more than just an emotional anecdote. It is a profound insight into the hidden heart of a king, a man struggling to reconcile his public duty with an overwhelming personal grief. It reveals a monarch who yearned to connect with the sacrifice of his soldiers, not as their ruler, but as their fellow man, their grieving father. This story, shrouded in the mists of carefully guarded secrets and archival silence, lives on, a testament to a king who walked incognito among his dead to pay a debt that no crown could ever truly repay.